Welcome to our Appalachia. My name is Phil Conn. I'm your host for this show. And today we're going to talk about another very interesting aspect of our mountain heritage and our mountain culture. We have a very special guest today who has a special relationship with Morehead State University, because Judge Jimmy Richardson not only is an alumnus that we're very proud of, Judge Richardson is a member of the Board of Regents of Morehead State University. After attending Morehead State University, the judge went to University of Kentucky and received his law degree, and at the present time is a district judge based in Bath County, next door to us. But Judge, you represent several counties. Which counties do you represent?
Well, I'm the 21st Judicial District consists of Round, Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery. But we have two district judges. Judge Jim Clay and I have gentleman's agreement. He takes care of Round and Menifee, and I take care of Bath and Montgomery. But we change once in a while. If he's busy or wants to fish in Canada, he will call me, and if I want to go fox hunting in Carolinas, I'll call him. So we do interchange from time to time.
Right. But now today we're not going to talk about law. We're not going to talk about the way you make a living or even Morehead State University. We're going to really talk about your true love today. We're going to talk about fox hunting. And I guess I've heard as much about Judge Richardson, the fox hunter, than I have Judge Richardson, the outstanding attorney, or judge. I just heard today from a friend in Menifee County. Now, if you really want to talk about hunting lore, you get Judge Richardson on your show, because he spent more hours swapping tails around the campfire and running foxes than about anyone going. So, Judge, we are excited about you telling us what fox hunting in eastern Kentucky is all about. Now, I say eastern Kentucky because we have a lot of friends in the bluegrass that still put on red coats and yell tally-ho and charge around on horseback. To me, that's kind of stiff, not as much fun as sitting around the campfire. But we're going to concentrate on fox hunting as it has developed and persisted over the years in the mountain part of our state, and of course in other parts of the country as well. When did you first get interested in hunting? Is this something that's happened to you recently?
No, it sure hasn't. First time I went fox hunting was when I was about 6 years old. My father was a fox hunter. My grandfather on my mother's side of the family was a fox hunter. And we Richardsons have always loved horses. We lived at a place called Olympian Springs.
This is in Bath County?
Bath County, and everybody in these four counties know where it is. And during the Depression, I was born in 24, no one had any money. Everybody fox hunted. There wasn't anything else to do. And there weren't big horses that jumped fences, but we'd ride work horses or mule horses we had back in the hills, and everybody went hunting. Not only me, but the rest of my family and all the neighbors would be back in there hunting. And then I, like most people do, I hunted and helped Dad take care of the dogs and done most of the feeding of them until I got in high school and got other interests, female interests, you know, when you get in high school. And probably I was out of it actively hunting until I got in law school. And once in law school, during vacations and nights when I'd come home, I'd go hunting with my father. And then unfortunately he died in 50. And he had 37 hounds there, and I was the only one in the family that hunted. So my part of the dad's estate was those 37 hounds. And
with 37 hounds, you got to do something, hadn't you?
Yeah, you got to feed them, and you got to hunt them. But, you know, you said something about eastern Kentucky and the bluegrass. I have a philosophy, and I'm sincere about this as anything I talk about. We in eastern Kentucky may be deprived of some of the economic benefits of this state and this nation, but we are blessed with the greatest outdoors in the world. It may be funny for a lawyer or judge to talk about outdoors, but if I had my druthers, I'd rather be outdoors every minute of my life. And I don't think you see any atheists in the fox hunting fraternity, or you don't see any atheists in the outdoor people, because they can look all around and see what the old master created.
That's right. That's a very interesting angle on it. I'd say that folks that are out of doors do understand what it means to be the creator and know what it means to be respectful of the creator.
Right. Now, I doubt if I'm a typical fox hunter of Appalachia. I know I love it as much as anyone, but I have seen men who lived it night and day, who would almost neglect the necessities of life to buy a hound or to buy dog feed. And this will sound like a story, but it's not. I can remember my father traded a cow and calf for a dog back during the Depression. And my mother never could understand that at all, but he was a great hound and gave Dad great pleasure. Now, I prefer, I've never ridden with the Iroquois Hunt Club. I've been there and I've seen their hounds, and I know a lot of people who hunt.
This is in the Lexington
area. In the Lexington area. And that's for them. I can understand why some doctor or lawyer in Lexington can't get anywhere else would go out there. But I can't understand why anyone who's born and reared in eastern Kentucky would be interested in riding a horse in a red coat to go fox hunting.
Right, right. Well, let's back up and let's talk about fox hunting the eastern Kentucky way. And I guess the best way to start, Judge, you've been to so many hunts, you certainly won't have any trouble roughing out the outline of a hunt, but when a group of mountain men decide that they're going to chase fox, how do they proceed? Take us from the time you head toward the woods with your dogs and get us to the next morning.
All right. Now, at the present time, it's a little different from what it used to be. About every fox hunter now has a pickup truck. About every farmer anymore has a pickup truck. I hunt a lot with some people from Nicholas County, and one of my tenants is a fox hunter on the farm. And then there's two other people down below me, and they will call me usually because they know I have a fairly busy schedule and say, Jimmy, when are you going to be off from court? Well, I'm off on Tuesdays. That's my record-keeping day. So Monday nights, usually we fox hunt. We usually fox hunt on Friday nights because I'm off on Saturday. They'll call me and say, let's go to the old woods tonight. Every hunting ground has a name. The old woods, the Pete Place, the Barrel Springs, the Leaning Rock. And they don't say to go to so-and-so's farm or such and such a road, but we decide where we're going to go. And luckily, I have more dogs than they have.
How many dogs do you say you have?
Well, I have about 34 now. I had to have it up to 105 at one time.
But you've kept the pack at least as large as it was left to you.
Right. It staggers in there, and I have 7 pups, about 4 months old. Right. If you count those, I've got 40-some. Anyway, they always want to limit me. You can bring 6 dogs, or you can bring 5 dogs, because they won't have over 4 or 5 or 6. And I'll fuss with them about it. But anyway, we agree to meet at the Barrel Springs at 8 o'clock tonight. All right. Now, they'll say it's your night to bring the bologna and cheese. So at midnight, we'd have something to eat if we stay that long, and most of the time we do. I put 6 hounds, whatever they agreed I can bring, in the truck. Meet them at the gate down below the Barrel Spring. We all go in together. And we all turn loose together. And this time of the year, you won't turn loose by 8 o'clock at night. And when you cast the hounds out of the truck, if you have good luck, and we've been having some running lately, they'll the dogs start hunting, and then they start trailing. Now, trailing is when they first give mouth, when they first bark, you'd call it. Right. But the hunters call it giving mouth or giving tongue. They'll trail that fox 15, 20 minutes, and you hear one more dog put in, and one more, and they get a little faster and a little faster, and then you jump him. And when they jump him, he's laying up there somewhere. He done laid down, and when they jump him, then the race is on. And a good fox race will last 8 to 10 hours. An excellent fox race will last 12 to 14 hours. Then they have what they call a dog killer. I haven't seen many of them, but the 16-hour races have been run.
That means a fox will absolutely wear the dogs out.
And if you take 22 dogs, you'll have maybe 6 or 7 to finish. And I have seen them, and this will sound like a tale, I've seen the fox walking the next morning and the dogs are walking. They would both give out. But that fox would not go in a hole. And I don't know, Phil, probably one of the questions you asked me, why do you fox hunt? Why? I've thought of that. I have a wife and 5 children. 3 of them have gone through Morehead here. I've spent quite a bit of money on the hound. And I can't really tell you why I fox hunt, except it's in me and it's a part of me, and I enjoy it. But I'm very fortunate my wife has never objected to it. And I argue all the time that a man's a lot better off on top of a ridge with the stars over him at night and a fire burning in front of him than he is in some honky-tonk or beer joint.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you're born to it. I think you have to be born with the affinity for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you're hooked, you never get out of your
Right.
system.
Well, the affinity for fox hunting in this part of the country seems to be particularly strong. You know, they say around here it's in your blood, and I guess that means you've got a terminal case of wanting to fox hunt. Another thing that interests me, though, is all of the social exchange, the swapping of tails. Some people would say the lie telling, but that's swapping tails knowing they're tall tails.
Fox hunters don't lie. They just stretch the truth.
I see. But they can stretch it pretty far sometimes, and that's all a part of the game, I guess.
That's right. And, you know, being a judge, every time that telephone rings, somebody's wanting something.
Right.
And as my wife says, and I won't do anything for you, Jimmy. They're wanting something. There's no telephones down those ridges.
Right.
And there's a lot of pretty stars and a full moon. And I think half of it, maybe a little more of it, is the camaraderie, if you want to call it that, or the fellowship, the ministers would call it, of the people you're with. The people I hunt with, I don't imagine either one of them have one of them might have a high school education, the rest of them 8th grade. But they're dead honest, they're good men, and I kid them a lot, and they kid me a lot, and there's no worry, no stress, no strain out there. Now that's a lot of fox hunting.
True recreation. You can unwind.
Right.
And recreation there, I mean recreation.
Do you ever hear a foxhorn blowing late in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock, ringing from hill to hill?
Right.
Anyone ever hear that would have to fox hunt?
I guess so.
They would have
like
to.
you say, if you're really into it. Let's talk about the hunt, though, a little. Now, I understand that the hunts go on and on, as you've indicated.
Right.
Got to be an opportunity for a fox to jump in a hole if the fox wishes to do so.
Right.
So are you suggesting that a fox tends to like the hunt as much as the dogs?
I think more so. I've seen many times the next morning when you know the fox is tired, you know the dog is tired, the fox would get a run on the dog. But that he'd be a quarter of a mile ahead of him. I've seen him get on a high knoll and sit there and wait till the dogs got within sight, and then he'd go on off. Foxes run on their territory, not the dogs' territory. They know every bush, every tree, every hole, every crack in the cliff, if you're in cliffs. They know that country.
It's like company in their playground.
Right. They can end it any time they want to. All they have to do is go in the hole. But a good, strong red fox won't go in a hole.
Now, the purpose of the Eastern Kentucky fox hunt is not to kill the fox.
Well, I've told you before this program started, and it's the truth. I have never seen a red fox caught. Now, I've fox hunted actively for 30 years, and I've never seen a red fox caught. I've seen 2 or 3 grays caught by the hound. The last thing we hunters want to do is destroy the fox. We have enough trouble right now with trappers, and someone will be watching this program and say, well, there's another fox hunter knocking trapper. I'm not really knocking it. I understand the trapper. Fox furs are so much, and they got some kids, they may want some extra money. But I'd much rather, if they'd catch that fox in a trap, if they'd call me, I'd like to buy him where he wouldn't be skinned. I'd like to take him down to my farm and turn him back out. So we don't kill foxes.
Right. Now, the old English hunt did end in a kill.
Right. And, of course, foxes got to be, what I've read about it, what I've heard about it, they got to be pests over there. There's so many of them.
Right.
And England's a very small island compared to the United States. They were too many of them. They couldn't.
Fox, though, are very strictly protected here. Is that correct?
Correct.
So they're not a varmint at all.
No.
Well, is there a season for killing fox?
Yes, there's an open season on fox. But in eastern Kentucky, no one shoots a fox. That's just not done. Not only the fox hunters don't like that, the landowners don't like that. Their neighbors don't like it. It's not the sporting thing to do. They can understand. I can understand a man trapping some. I wish he wouldn't trap, but I can understand it if he needs it to feed his family. But I can't understand a man shooting God's creation
Mm-hmm.
that's out there, and if you kill him in front of a man's hounds, you got to whip that man.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't kill a fox in front of another man's hounds.
But now, when you talk about a fox getting into a hole,
Right.
he's there to hunt again.
Right.
You hunt the same fox over and over again.
Right.
Do you really get to know a fox? Is there any such thing as knowing a fox?
Yes. Let me tell you what you can do now, and they'll think, well, that's this judge's tales, and it's not. After you run a fox 3 or 4 times, you can tell by the circle he makes which fox you're after, whether you're after the he, whether you're after the she. And then foxes are not all alike they are to you. If you see a fox out there, you ever want to look just alike to you.
Mm-hmm.
A he has a stripe on the tip of his tail and has a full stripe under his chest, and they deviate. Some of them have bigger balls of white on their tail. Some of them has a wider white place down their chest. They'll be saying, that's the big fox with the big ball on his tail.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fox with the white spot on his side. Some of them have a white spot on their side. Or that's the old she fox that dens over here. You can tell by the way the circle they make.
So you know them individually.
Yeah.
Let's drop back a little, because you mentioned a red fox and a gray fox.
Right.
Totally different species, I take it.
One belongs to the cat family. That's the gray fox. The red fox belongs to the dog family. It's been proven by science. They don't cross. You can't cross a gray. They're different families.
But they are very different in their behavior.
Right.
And you suggested earlier that the red fox is a better fox to chase because they have more stamina.
Right.
I guess they enjoy the chase more.
I think they do. Gray foxes are, you'll find them in thickets, I would guess around Morehead. There's more grays than there are reds.
I'll be.
They only run from 30 minutes to 2 hours and a half, and they're no really test of your dog.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big he red fox, and he'll test what you've been feeding, as they say.
Did you say that one of the two species will go up a tree?
A gray fox will climb just like a cat. Red fox cannot climb.
Will hounds try to tree a gray fox, though? Will they keep it up a tree?
They don't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like coon hounds. They don't supposed to bark tree.
Right.
That's a fault if you do.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a hot race and they're really driving a little gray and he runs up a small tree fairly close to the ground, they'll bark him sometime.
Well, now, when you're around the campfire,
Yeah.
and here's this huge pack of dogs,
Right.
sounding like a freight train, you say, when they
Coming
come
up
close
the holler.
Okay. And I guess a lot of the banter, a lot of the argument is whose dogs are best and who's on trail and which one's wearing out.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
So there's a competition among the dogs, so to speak, but there's also a competition among the dog owners as to who has the best foxhound. Is that correct?
No doubt about that. And the biggest disgrace you can have is being having a good fox race, and one of your dogs quit, come in and lay down by you. Then you got to carry wood the rest of the night.
Oh, really?
If your dog's laying by the fire.
The owner of the quitter gets to do the
carry the
detail.
wood.
Right.
The man's up front, he gets to do most of the talking. And then there's a great argument about whose dog's in front, really which dog's in front. And this will sound strange to these people here that have never been on one, never heard one. They say all dogs bark alike.
Mm-hmm.
There's as much difference in a dog's mouth as there is a human voice. There's tenors, altos, bass, and after you hunt them a while, you know which one of your dogs is where in the pack. If you're up front, you'll know it. Now, sometimes you get an argument. If I have a dog with a good, clear tenor calling mouth, and the man down the road has one of the good, clear tenor calling mouth, then he'll argue with me, that's my dog, that's his dog, or this is not your dog. But when daylight comes, of course, sight cures the blind.
Right.
When they cross, you know whose dog's in front.
If you have a pack of 30 dogs, though, you have to have a rather sophisticated ear to pick out not only your dogs,
right,
but the specific dog among your dogs.
All right. That's my weakness as a fox hunter. I'm not a musician. I wish many times I was. They have to have a real good mouth before I can separate them. For instance, your bass voices all have a tendency to blend in together in a pack. But I have a friend I hunt with named Kenneth Stewart. He talks a lot. Some people call him radio. He talks so much. And he's a fine fellow, but he probably has a 5th grade education.
Mm-hmm.
But he has an ear for music. And if he hears your dog bark once, The next time you're hunting, he'll say, that's your yellow dog. That's your blueback dog. And I wish I could do that, but I can't do that. I do well to tell my own without telling someone else.
Now, you indicate that by voice, by the bark, you can also tell how they're proceeding in the
Pack.
hunt.
Right.
The distance they are back from the fox,
Right.
and how close they are to the fox.
Right. And the more they smell a fox, the closer they are to that fox, the faster they bark. It's like a football player. The closer he gets to that goal line, the harder he's going to fight, and the harder the other side is going to try to keep him away. That's the way with the fox hound.
Their bark becomes more rapid and more excited.
Right, just like they're going to catch him. Now,
I see.
And they think they are, but they don't.
Right, they never get there,
They never
at least
get
with
there.
a red fox.
Right.
Right. Now, you tell me that every pack, though, at least your dogs, there's a leader of the pack.
Leader of the pack.
And they know who the leader is, and the leader knows who he is.
Right, and tell you something you can watch. The dog that's the fastest and does the best job of running, it'll be like in the humans, he's the leader of the pack. When you go in there to feed them, and when I leave here today, I've got to go to my farm, and I feed my dogs myself every day. The best dog out there, the best I own, will go to that trough first. And he'll get him a place to eat. None of the rest of them dogs will bother him.
They know to hold back.
They know that that's his. Now, they'll get to the other end of the trough, but they won't get to his place. They won't bother him.
As a dog gets older, though, do younger dogs try to challenge the leader of the pack, or does he just kind of say, I give up at some point?
I've seen it happen both ways. Sure, they challenge him. The ideal age for a foxhound, he ought to be at his best at 2 years of age and stay strong till he's 4 to 4.5. Now, when he gets 4 years old, he'll weaken some. Then you got some other 2-year-old dogs coming up there, and one of them will get him, one of them will beat him. One of them will take that fox away from him, get up front and run it, and then they do one or two things. They'll quit, and they'll be the ones to come in here, and then you have to get rid of them, get them out of the pack. Or we had an old dog, my father did, named Bucky Walters. An oil man offered him $1,000 for him back in the 40s when money was money. A fellow named Skipper. Old Bucky never quit in his life, but he got smart. When this young dog collared him or got in front of him, he went and got him another fox. And then whatever pups was there, they'd throw in with him. Bucky's still the boss of that pack, you know. So they get real sharp. Dogs are smarter than people think they are.
I'm sure they are. I guess a fox is really smart, too, though, and that's what makes it an exciting hunt.
Smartest animal in the world.
What are some of the ways that fox, if they're running for hours and hours, what's some of the ways they try to throw dogs off? Surely they can't run that long without using their brains.
Oh, they use them real well. I've seen this. I've read about it. Other hunters seen it. My county's got some rock fences. You see them as you go to Lexington. The sanding conditions on the rock fence is very poor. I've seen a fox jump up on that fence and go down it 100 yards and then come back and go the opposite way. Those dogs will lose him there. And they might finally work him out after 10 minutes and get his track, but he's got a 10-minute run on then, plenty of time to rest. Another ideal way, and this happened last week, saw it on Junior Clark's place. He had a big herd of cows there. This red fox went right in the middle of those cows, and that's the last time we saw him. Now, I know what he did. He circled among those cows, and as they walked out that ridge, he walked out that ridge. And when he got over to a rock, he'd jump on it. When the dogs come to that, they smell cattle as well as fox, and the foxes all among them. And then it'd just be luck if they didn't get this fox again. That was the end of that race. Be luck if they ever get where he hit that rock and left there.
So a fox can literally win a race and it's over. I mean, short of going in the hole.
Anytime a fox wants to lose dogs, they can lose.
I see, right. Well, let me ask you another thing. Does the temperament of a fox change during different times of the year? For example, if a fox, male or female, has a lot of young, will it act differently?
Surely. If you go to run a fox, when the females have young and you get close to the den, you hear her scream. Sounds like a screech owl or something, as near as I can tell the other side. But any hunter knows when a fox is screaming at them. And she does that to get the dogs away from the den. She'll run them a little while, get them away from the den, and believe it or not, the he will come in, pick that pack up, and take them clear away from that den.
So they'll actually trade off.
They trade
the
off.
pair will work together to try to shake the dogs.
Right. And then they do that in breeding season. They're polygamists.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard them argue that they made off. I've never believed it. And I've seen 3 and 4 during the breeding season together. When the pack jumps them, the she's will go one way and the he's will go the other, and the dogs wind up and run the he's every time. So they protect their females.
Now, I guess that a dog thinks that he will catch that fox. They'd quit if they thought that they didn't have any chance of getting a fox.
I don't know that he'd quit, but I'm like you. I think they believe they'll catch him. I think they're always hoping they'll catch him. But fox and hounds are natural enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I've bred a lot of hounds. I've raised a lot of foxes. And you say, well, where do you get them? They get them out of dens along the superhighway. I have a permit farm, and no law against them. I've watched them closely, studied them, not like you college professors, as you would dissect a frog or something, but just for the enjoyment of watching those foxes. No matter how long you keep them, no matter how gentle they get, they're still an enemy to a dog. When a dog gets around that fox kennel, he heads for that hole, and that dog keeps trying to get to him, and he knows he's in captivity.
Right.
I might tell you this, I turn them loose after the trapping season every year.
I see. Yeah. Right. Well, Judge, we've had a most fascinating discussion. You wouldn't believe that 30 minutes is gone because we didn't even get in second gear. We'll probably have to do this again sometime.
I was going to tell you about Babe Stone.
Oh, really? Well, we'll get to that the next time. But you have given me a lot of information on fox hunting in eastern Kentucky and given me a lot of additional questions. But for now, I'm going to have to tell our viewers that this is it for this series, Our Appalachia, and we want you to join us again next week as we discuss another fascinating aspect of our culture and our heritage here in eastern Kentucky.
Thank you, Bill.